So when I came back, I was still in for a few years. The trouble with coming back really didn't start till I got home. I had a lot of peers around me to deal with to help me get through when I got back. But I went through a marriage and a divorce, and when I was coming home, stuff kind of just came to fruition. I'd always tell myself I wasn't having trouble. I'm way too strong mentally to have trouble. I don't. But I was. It was affecting me all over the place, areas that I didn't see. So when I got back to Oregon, I realized it more. I don't have all these guys around me to go talk war stories with and tell them, gosh, you remember that one time? Yeah, I remember that. Oh, gosh, didn't that suck? Yep, it sucked. Okay, I got to talk to somebody about that. So I was having a lot of trouble with that. So I started getting to VA about 6 months after I came home. I had signed up prior to coming home in Afghanistan, October 16th. We were going to pick up somebody on a road that hadn't been cleared. I was in the second truck. The first truck went through and kept rolling, and right after he had went over a spot, we went over a spot, and the front made it. And about halfway through, I just heard boom. And I thought, gosh, what was that? And then I felt the truck go back down and kind of hit the ground. I thought, what was that? And Lieutenant reached back and he said, on the 50, on the 50. And so I was up in the turret and I'd kind of come down a little bit. And what was that? So I got back up and we went on with the day. The truck was damaged, but we could still roll. So we kind of went. When I'd gotten home, I started to listen to VA. By then, my back was just giving me some problems. I didn't know what it was. I thought maybe starting to go to the gym. I thought maybe I'd lifted too much weight. I had a little strain. Well, a year later, by this time, still waiting to get into VA. So it's been a year and a half, my back was really bothering me, real bad pain. And I kind of gotten it looked at back in 29 Palms now that I remember. And they said something about the sciatica nerve. And I thought, it just ran too hard or lifted too much weight. So now here, I could think that sciatica nerve. Anyway, they had sent me in for x-rays and a CT and CAT scan and everything. I was in every tube you can think of. And they finally realized that my sciatica nerve is pinched between two discs. Not all the way down, but it's in there, pinched. So your sciatica runs, and then it runs down your right leg. So my right leg was twitching and having a lot of pain. And even though I had that much pain, and I told them that I had that much pain, it still took them a year and a half. A year and a half. And then, I watch Facebook, and that's my generation. And I see all these guys, friends that I know, start committing suicide. And I'm just thinking to myself, why? Myself, I've never thought about that a day in my life. I could never be selfish enough to do that to my mom and my dad and my sister and my brother. And I couldn't leave them anyway. So that's kind of never been a thought for me. But realizing that these guys have been waiting the same amount of time as I have just to see somebody and say, gosh, I'm not thinking correctly. I'm not okay. A year and a half to even get in to say anything. I find that pretty pathetic. Pretty pathetic. And the worst part is all these taxpayers and all these people that are supporting this and giving your tax money's going to this. And what's it being used for? Guys that are on home soil to die? Or to be in pain, miserable. I couldn't work. I didn't have a job. I was in unemployment for a year and a half. And so finally I got in and they prescribed me morphine. Straight morphine. I said, here you go. This will make you feel better. And I'm hurting. So I said, okay, sure. So, needless to say, I don't touch morphine anymore. I don't touch prescription anything. I found a different way to deal with my problems. And personally for me, and even though it is a stigma, and any veterans that are listening, even though it's a stigma, shouldn't be afraid to use medical marijuana. It has saved my life. It saved my life. I was on 15 milligrams of morphine, 5 milligrams, 10 milligrams of Ambien, and 4 or 5 different antidepressants. And at a time, they were giving me straight morphine. So the stuff that I had originally was slow acting, so it kind of slowly act. Well, I kind of had a bad week, so they were giving me straight shots of morphine. Straight shots of morphine. And I'd had enough. You know, I see all these guys that are advocates for medical marijuana that are veterans, and I thought, man, if they can do it, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe it's okay.
Of course.
I stopped taking the prescription drugs. I've never slept so good. I've never had less pain. I have no pain. You know, I still get to twitch. It's still there. I still feel it when I do certain things. I work every day. Very successful at work. I love what I do. Made some pretty sweet outcomes of what I do. And all the time I thought, gosh, it's a drug. I can't do a drug, you know. But now I look back and I was on the drugs. I was on drugs, and they were killing me. Slowly and mentally killing me. And I know there are veterans out there that's killing. You know, nobody needs to have that stuff in their system. Forget if you have a surgery or you break your back or something, but all I had to do was get online and say I need a refill, and it came in the mail.
Really?
Came in the mail. So I'm a big supporter of medical marijuana. I would love to get something together someday to bring veterans to me, to preach to them that it's okay. You know, mom's not going to be mad at you. I didn't want to let my mom and dad down. And man, I hid it from them for the longest time. For the longest time I hid it from them. But the more and more research I've done, and I've done days and days and days and days of research on it, I just realized what a positive outcome it's been on me, and it is for many other veterans. So I'd love to get something together.
Well, it's legal now.
It is.
To be used.
It is. I went and got my medical
By the
card.
VA.
I'm a medical patient, so it is legal, but it's also taxed if you're a, you know, in this way, you can make it feel like it's hard to explain. And you know, if you want to go do recreational where you get all these taxes and it's expensive, and for some veterans, especially guys that aren't working anymore, retired, you know, those Vietnam guys that are retired, it's expensive. But if you go about the right way and get your medical card, it's not as expensive, and so that's what saved me from the VA.
It saved you from the VA.
Me from the VA. Because I think they're contributing to a lot of demise.
A lot of Band-Aids.
Temporary fixes. You know, whereas this, it doesn't change who I am. Gosh, I was so loopy on morphine. I felt like I was out of this world, you know, and this stuff, it doesn't make me feel like that. I have a little bit. I don't excess it. I don't party with it. It's strictly my medicine. And,
It helps you sleep.
oh yes, ma'am. I get a full 8 hours of sleep every night, and I didn't before. I had to take Ambien.
And lots of naps.
And lots of naps. I don't nap anymore. and Ambien brought nightmares. I don't have nightmares anymore. I haven't had a nightmare, and I couldn't tell you all that.
I'm so glad.
So if there's anything that I want people to get out of that, it's the VA is tough, but there's other ways to deal with your mental, physical pain, you know. Then
It's a good thing you didn't get addicted to the morphine.
isn't that awful? And there are guys are, and then you know,
It's very
they get
addictive.
addicted, and then the VA says, well, you've taken too much this month, we can't give you any more. Well, then what do? Then they start doing heroin, and then they start doing meth, and then it just, and then they're homeless. These guys that are homeless that I see, veterans, that's not them. That's not them. Veterans are not willing to just give up and say, give me free. It's not veterans, not my veteran community, not the guys I know. We're down to fight. But what do you do? What do you do when what you fought for is contributing to your health demise? So the VA was tough, but there's ways around it. Just stick with it. So thank you guys. I really appreciate you doing this. It means a lot to me that you're getting this out to my brothers and sisters.
We will.
It means a lot to me, because those guys are just as important as she is. I mean, obviously not as, but it's family to me. Even if I don't know them, you know, if I can help somebody, if somebody says, "Man, I'm done doing prescription drugs," or "Gosh, I can talk about my story and not feel like I have to hold all this in and keep it pent in," you know. So I appreciate what you guys are doing. It means a lot to me. So
Thank you
you.
very much.
Yes, ma'am.